Hi, my name is Jacqueline Denali, and I am a practicing shaman as well as a research librarian focused on emerging and disruptive technologies. So far, I've had an interview on this channel as well as just speaking to you about different topics of interest. Most of them have been more on the shaman side, and I still have that going on today. However, I have a proposal for those of you who enjoy trying to create experiments to see if things are true. I have one for you today. So I have three rabbits. And of the three rabbits, those that have ever been around rabbits, you know, it's very hard to get three to bond together. Normally, they bond well as pairs unless they grew up together. And in this situation, I took on a third rabbit because a friend needed to find a new home for it. Originally, I did manage to get them to have like a truce where like two would hang out here and one would be like right around the corner and kind of like coexist. But then the third one ended up getting an injury on her ankle. Basically, she sprained it. And so I had to separate them to give her medicine and for rest. And I just never got them back together. So I decided to contact an animal communicator. Her name is Ginny, and I'll put her information below in the details. Mostly because ever since I was a child, I wanted to be an animal communicator. I really desired it, and I'm not good at it. I don't know why it is blocked. And in talking to Ginny, she said, I have three past lives, which are why it's blocked. And so that is something I will have to work on. So the goal for me was that I wanted to understand if my third rabbit, her name is Gidget, was okay being basically a solo rabbit living on one side of the partition, which happens to be the bedrooms and where my altar is and where I do this work, versus the other two rabbits are kind of in the living space. And at the moment, she has agreed. She's fine with it. There's a lot of work that the bunny world has to do. And until all three of them do some work, she is happy where she is, which is great. But the way that the animal communicator works is that she first just lets the rabbit or whatever other animal talk. I get to ask no questions. If I get to at the end, we're lucky. But man, I knew she was smart. I just didn't know how observant she was of the shaman practice that I've been doing, because then she has it in her head that she needs to be a bunny healer. And she was offering healing to the practitioner who had some really bad experiences near a farm that had rabbits that were raised for meat that she forgot for 10 years, and like offered her a healing and release for that experience, as well as finding an injured baby rabbit and having to euthanize it and helping her release from that energetic trauma. So it's very fascinating. But so my bunny wants to be a healer, but doesn't want the responsibility of healing. And I'm like, that sounds like somebody else I know. But the real thing she wanted to focus on is that she could not open up her heart because of the spirit of fear. The spirit of fear she has about humans, that the entire collective that our rabbits have. And I felt for her because, yeah, rabbits are considered livestock. They're not protected. They are oftentimes in small cages, rarely getting to go out, sometimes outside, and they get caught by coyotes and foxes and things like that. Like in general, rabbits do not have a good life. I happen to be someone who has always enjoyed rabbits and mine free roam. I basically just let them do whatever they want. I don't force them to do much other than when I have to like clip their nails and things like that. And so, in digging into this, we found that she wanted it to be fixed for all rabbits as a collective. I mean, like, that's a big ask, not to just do it on the individual, but rabbits don't really see themselves as individual. They see themselves as a collective. But she wanted to become more of a being. And the reason is that she observed all other animals have started on this progression towards becoming a separate being within the collective, and they get their own spirit guides, but rabbits don't have that. Rabbits are basically just part of the oversoul, and they have their individual experiences. She's coming over here right now. but they don't have a sense of beingness the same way as a dog or a cat or anything like that, or a horse, if you want to go into the prey world. And she felt that it was partially because of this fear of humans, and it was also, there's a animal council, much like if you follow other healers, they talk about like the galactic councils and things like that for humans, and for or if you call us hybrids, whatever you want to call us. But there's one for animals, and she felt that because of things that they had done, they were holding rabbits back from evolving in the DNA world and within the spiritual world. And she was also upset about that, and that the rabbits as a collective feel upset about that. So we did a huge healing today with the oversoul of rabbits, all rabbits, and the council of the animals. Excuse me a second. To fix these two things. And so every single rabbit on the planet are going to be affected by this. They're going to have a more sense of calm and trust, those that can accept it, because there may be some in very traumatic situations right now that will not believe it, but those that can will likely change in behavior because of it. And they're going to start to evolve. Those that want to start having a spiritual progression and get their own, spiritual guides, their helpers, can request that. And Gidget's first on the list. What's really funny is that, so I have two other rabbits, Rose and Blue. Rose is the queen. She presents herself as a queen with the scepter and the crown, if you go into the spiritual world with her. And she had a brother when I first adopted them. Her brother, apparently, his main goal was to give me an enormous amount of energy work. And then when he was done, he passed away. And it was really traumatic for me. Like, I didn't have him very long. He was special, and I knew it. And she felt his passing too. And I wasn't planning on getting a second rabbit, but a friend of mine thought that he would be a good fit for her. And it took some time, but eventually she accepted him. Um, from my understanding, she just saw him as an annoying appendage, and she couldn't understand why I gave her an annoying appendage. She didn't want it. And then it occurred to her one day that they were separate. And that was like an epiphany of starting to become a sovereign being. So apparently I have two female rabbits who are going down this path in my house, and that's okay. So here comes to the question of the experiment. I certainly don't keep up with all the rabbit, families in the entire world, but what if people start mentioning how their rabbits are changing and they're starting to see a change in the light in their eyes? I would be fascinated to know if that started today, if they notice it. I mean, those that work with energy know that sometimes it's a slow progression coming in, and especially for each individual, they don't hit it all at the same time. They have to go through their processing. But I would be really curious to know if within a year, let's say, there's a significant change in rabbits. I would love to know that, because I know that there's been a lot of disease with rabbits recently that they couldn't understand why it's spreading. And I'm wondering, because some diseases do come from an energetic place. I'm not a medical psychic. I can't tell you all the details of that. I have not studied it. But from my understanding and from my own experiences, sometimes when you're in a really sad place and you just want to go away, your body starts saying, okay, then we'll start shutting down. You know, I went through a significant amount of time where I was sleeping almost all the time and being drawn to sleep because I honestly didn't want to be here. I was in a very bad place. Um, Obviously that got fixed. But I would be curious to see if there is a huge change in the species of rabbits in even less than a year. But I'm just saying a year because maybe that's when we can collect all the data. So if you are a data collector out there and would like to take this on, and I have a lovely alarm that just went off telling me that it's getting late, I would really appreciate if you could, type a note in the comments below sometime and see where it goes. So that's all I have for you today. I was terribly amused that I had such an ambitious, big picture entity that is living with me. Also, not surprised because that's who I am. And like energetic will, attract like. So I hope you have a wonderful day and a great spiritual awakening as it comes for you.